The Honourable Louise Upston.
Mr Speaker, the 1st of July 2015, I believe, will go down in New Zealand's history. But before I explain why, I just thought we'd take a little quick history lesson. On this day in 1903, the first Tour de France race began. Ghana became a republic on this day in 1960, but in terms of our history, on the 1st of July 1988, Bastion Point land was returned to Ngāti Whātua. But in terms of the 1st of July 2015, we saw the retirement of our clerk, Mary Harris, recognising 28 years of service to this Parliament. So I'm sure this date will go down in the history of our Parliament for that reason. I'm not sure in terms of the history books of New Zealand First, it might go down as the day that the deputy leadership was a 10-way split. And depending on where the arrow landed was whoever wound up with the job. Or it could be, as Minister Brownlee said before me, a 20-way split in the Labour Party for who became the deputy leader there. But anyway, on to more important matters. As the Speaker before me mentioned, the presidency of the United Nations Security Council was taken over by New Zealand, which is a very important day. But, Mr Speaker, for New Zealand families, for hardworking New Zealand families up and down this country, they will recognise today, and today will be part of our history, for the fact that GP visits and prescriptions became free for under 13s. Mr Speaker, in the election campaign last year, this was the single most talked about policy announcement of this government. It recognises that there should be no parent, Mr Speaker, who has to think twice about whether or not they take their child to a doctor. So I'm very pleased of the announcement and the introduction today of the 1st of July 2015 that all children under 13 will have access to free GP visits and prescriptions. So it's estimated that more than 400,000 children will benefit from this scheme, which will take the number benefiting to more than 750,000 children, Mr Speaker. If I look at my own electorate of Taupo, around 20,000 children fall under Lakes DHB and a further 60,000 under the Waikato DHB, who will be very pleased to have access to free GP visits and prescriptions. We recognise how important it is to give our kids the best start in life possible, and so this is a great day for New Zealand families. Mr Speaker, I want to follow on the comments that my parliamentary colleague, the Honourable Maggie Barry, made about the importance of additional support for hospices. If I look in my own electorate, the additional funding for palliative care for the Waikato and Lakes DHB has gone up $5.8 million. That's significant for the many families who have a very challenging time with their loved ones going through those last days, weeks or months. And I know that this is a huge announcement for communities large and small, but, Mr Speaker, another policy that directly benefits our families. Mr Speaker, another announcement that actually came into force a couple of months ago that I'm continuing to get strong feedback on as the Minister for Women is the paid parental leave increase. And we are planning to increase it again 2 weeks to 18 weeks next year from the 1st of April. This is another policy that supports families, that supports children, and is balanced exactly in the right place. Another initiative, Mr Speaker, that Minister Tolley announced today was news of the accommodation benefit rising to match the accommodation supplement. Mr Speaker, one of my priorities as the Minister for Women is ensuring that women are able to participate and gain further education and training to support them in work. This particular policy means that sole parents who are studying could be up to $165 a week better off. Mr Speaker, for some families that's the difference between having that parent studying or not. So I think it's significant. The more women that are able to get an education, and for these women who I believe are particularly vulnerable as sole parents, their ability to continue their education improves not only their prospects in terms of employment, but also improves the options and future for their children, Mr Speaker. This is clearly, on this side of the House, a government that is really delivering for New Zealand families, and I'm proud to be part of John Key's government.